Hello, today we're going to discuss theater basics and elements. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. So, this is suggesting that we're constantly putting on an act in different scenarios and things that we're in. But what does this quote mean to you? I'd like you to consider that. So, we'll start out by looking at the role or character. An actor's portrayal of a character in a drama, which is developed with attention to background, motivation, speech, and physical traits. That's what makes up the character. So consider who are the characters. And if you're critiquing a piece, ask yourself, how do they establish their characters? So, for example, are they using their body language to look big and intimidating or mild and meek? Consider their facial expressions or their use of props. How are they engaging with other things on the stage? Relationship is the connection between people, events, or circumstances. So, what are the relationships among the characters? Are they friends, family, strangers? Is there a strong, weak relationship? Do you have mortal enemies? And when you're critiquing a piece, ask, how do they establish their relationship with each other? So, for example, eye contact or body positioning. What are some nonverbal clues that we get about their relationship? The time and place is the setting or time period. So, for example, is it set in the past, the future? Is it in the present? What is the duration? Does the play span just a single day or a week or months or years? And consider the sequence of the action of a story or drama. So that plot timeline. Where and when is this taking place? So when you're critiquing a piece, consider how they establish the time and place. So through use of props, costumes, furniture, blocking, so how they move around the stage or areas of the stage. How do those things convey to you non-verbally the setting? Focus and emphasis. So this includes the theme, character, problem, event, moment in time, or center of visual interest. So for example, in a tableau that gives purpose to a drama. So who or what is the focus of the scene? And when you're critiquing a piece, consider how they use or how they create focus. So is it through body positioning, staging, lights, where the characters are looking? So in these examples, the photographs at the side, you can see that the focus in the bottom picture is the woman in the blue. She's positioned farther downstage than the other characters. The other characters are looking at her and the light is more focused on her. Same with the character in the bathtub above, who has the light directly on her. Tension is a heightened mental or emotional state resulting from uncertainty about how the conflict or problem in a drama will be resolved. This is a crucial element to theater. So consider what is happening. Why is there conflict? And when you're critiquing, ask, how do they convey the audience to the audience what is happening? How do they make that conflict clear? When critiquing your own work and others, consider how effectively the group uses and combines the elements to illustrate the scenario. So what's working? Did they use costumes and lighting really effectively to help illustrate that scene in the 1930s? Or consider the elements. Is there anything else the group could do to illustrate the scenario more clearly? So what doesn't work and why? And what might work better? All right, stage directions. These are directions written in parentheses in a script to guide actors and directors. It includes information on how to act, including emotions. So sometimes in brackets it'll say the character speaks irritably or excitedly or with a stutter, etc. It includes information on how to set the stage, so what the set looks like in the writer's mind. And it can provide background information such as time, setting, mood, weather, etc. Just a note, the stage directions are suggestions. They do not need to be followed to the T. And a lot of productions will will change the setting or the staging, or even some of the emotions to highlight on the themes that they think are the most important, or to be more reflective of current society and the values that we have, or the events that we are dealing with. But for example, in the stage directions below here, we see how Gaston should act as he rallies the village to attack the beast in Beauty and the Beast. And it's in brackets, so we know it's not a spoken line of dialogue. It's a stage direction. And it says, Gaston throws a torch into a haystack, creating an instant bonfire. He begins to prance around it, warning of the dangers of the horrible beast. Dialogue is a conversation between two or more characters. So in the dialogue below, we see Belle trying to convince Gaston she's not interested. And he comes up and he says, "Hello, Belle." "Bonjour, Gaston." And then we have a stage direction. Gaston grabs the book from Belle. "Gaston, may I have my book, please?"
"How can you read this? There's no pictures."
"Well, some people use their imaginations."
"Belle, it's about time you got your head out of those books and paid attention to more important things. Like me! The whole town's talking about it. It's not right for a woman to read. Soon she starts getting ideas and thinking."
"Gaston, you are positively primeval."
"Why, thank you, Belle. Hey, what do you say you and me take a walk over to the tavern and have a look at my hunting trophies?"
"Maybe some other time." So we see that this is dialogue because they're going back and forth. They're responding to what the other one is saying. A monologue is an uninterrupted speech given by one character. It may or may not be directed at another character, and it often gives extra information about the plot or characters. So this example is again from Beauty and the Beast, and we have Le Fou, Gaston's sidekick, bragging about Gaston to everyone in the pub. I will spare you me singing it, although it is quite fun, but you can just read along here. So who are you? Oh, sorry. Who? You? Never. Gaston, you've got to pull yourself together. Gosh, it disturbs me to see you, Gaston, looking so down in the dumps. Every guy here'd love to be you, Gaston, even when taking your lumps. There's no man in town as admired as you. You're everyone's favorite guy. Everyone's awed and inspired by you, and it's not very hard to see why. No one's slick as Gaston, no one's quick as Gaston, no one's neck is as incredibly thick as Gaston, for there's no man in town half as manly. Perfect, a pure paragon. You can ask any Tom, Dick, or Stanley, and they'll tell you whose team they'd prefer to be on. So this is an uninterrupted speech in the show. It is a song, but still it counts as a monologue because it's uninterrupted and it's giving us extra information about Gaston. So we know that people look up to him, even though he beats them up. We know he has a thick neck. He's quite manly. We learn some extra information. A soliloquy is an uninterrupted speech given by one character where the character is talking to himself or herself. And it's really to his or her soul, as in soliloquy, if you need help remembering. And it reveals the innermost thoughts and concerns of the character. It's usually like a musing out loud to themselves. So for example, in the soliloquy below, the beast is sad and defeated, and he talks to himself as he looks in the mirror after he lets Belle leave his castle. "I'm just fooling myself. She'll never see me as anything but a monster." Stage direction. Another petal falls off the rose.
It's hopeless.
Okay, so because he's saying his thoughts out loud, this is a soliloquy. The stage. So we have different types of theaters. So the stages between theaters can look quite different. So there's the proscenium, which is a more standard stage. It is the one labeled in the bottom corner that shows the proscenium arch around so you can tuck stuff down there. If you've been to the Theater Guild is a proscenium theater. There's theater in the round, which is the photo in the other bottom corner where the seats are surrounding the stage and all of the action is taking place in the middle of the audience. And then there's the thrust stage, which is in the top corner that shows the depth come forward. Okay, so it doesn't include that proscenium arch. Stage directions and blocking. So if you are involved in the theater, you need to learn these symbols because they will help explain how an actor is moving around the stage. If you're an actor, you'll make these notes in your script to help you remember where you're going. If you're a stage manager, you'll be writing down everyone's blocking for when they inevitably forget it or there's confusion between rehearsals. Perhaps something got reblocked. So these symbols show how they're moving. So an X means cross. So if I had Bell X SL, so Bell is crossing to stage left. An arrow pointing down means they sit. An arrow pointing up, stand. EN just is short for enter. So Bell enters from stage left. EX, exit. So when writing a character's name, use the first initial of the character's name surrounded by a circle. And if you have characters who have a lot of characters who have a C or what have you, you can use the first couple of letters or the first and last initial. You can make your choices there. But it shows you, for example, C with a circle around it is for a character named Claudia. But you will find your own shorthand symbol to use. And don't forget to include a legend on the first page of your script. Now, on the other side of your screen here, you'll see the big box represents the stage. Okay? At the bottom is the audience. And so that's downstage. And at the back of the stage, which is the top on your screen, is called upstage. So we have upstage and downstage. And you'll notice that stage right, if you're looking at it, is actually on your left. And stage left, when you're looking at it from an audience perspective, is actually on your right. And that's because actors, when they are on stage, they're facing the audience. And we want to help them with their rights and lefts. So if an actor has to exit stage right, they're going to their right because they're facing the audience. But if you're blocking from an audience perspective, you have to call it stage right, stage left. So we have our upstage right, upstage center, upstage left, our center stage right, center stage, and center stage left, and then our downstage right, downstage center, and downstage left. And making a stage into this kind of quadrant will help you understand where actors are supposed to be. So maybe someone is entering upstage left while somebody else is exiting downstage right, and they don't see each other. Or there are crosses. There are going to be different set pieces and furniture scattered around the stage as well. So remember, if you are writing blocking, to write it in pencil because changes will always be made. So always use pencil when you're making notations in a script. So this gives us an example. On Lucy's line, good evening, P, which we can guess stands for Peter, is going to cross down left. So wherever he is, now we know he needs to get down left. So he's going to start moving. And then later on, Lucy, on her line, apparently right after she says again. So she says, for a moment, I thought perhaps the magic was at work again. And in that comma, she starts to cross to Peter down left. And she would carry on with her line, and I was back in Narnia. So here we're seeing two different ways to track blocking. So in the first one, we have our arrow that shows us where the move is. In the second one, it's numbered. Either of these work, or you might find something a little different for you, but use whichever method works best for you. If you are an actor, something that you can just glance at and be like, okay, yep, I know where I'm going and where I'm headed next. Or if you're a stage manager, something that helps you keep it very organized so when actors come and ask you about their blocking, you can easily answer them. So we have some key terminology to look at. An ad lib is when you make up words or actions, usually to cover a mistake in a performance. Anticipating, that is when you react to something before your character has any reason to. In a play, you need to remember that you're experiencing everything for the first time, even though you have actually been rehearsing it for quite a long time and you know what's coming next, but you need to remember to stay present in the moment. At rise, that is the moment when the curtain rises or the stage lights go on or whatever happens to signal the start of the play, act, or scene. A blackout is the end of the act or play, or sometimes it happens in the middle of a scene when the lights go out. Blocking is the movement of characters, actors, on the stage. And it may also refer to actors standing in front of one another or dismissing ideas in improv. A cue is the line spoken just before your line, or the signal for you to perform. So sometimes it'll be a line that cues you. Sometimes it'll be a lighting change, or a sound effect, or the lights coming up. And a gesture is generally any action performed with the hands, arms, or head. Intention or objective. So your character's intention is what your character wants in a scene. What do they want to accomplish, and how are they going to do that? Motivation, the character's reason for doing or saying something. So why is the character starting a fight with another person on stage? Projecting means making sure your performance is audible and visible from every seat in the house. So how do you train your voice to travel to the back of the audience so that everyone can hear you? That's projecting. Picking up cues means reducing the amount of time between speeches. So you want to be on those cues. So if your cue line has been said, you need to come right in. You don't wait 2 seconds because it'll feel like an eternity. Stage business, activities performed on stage as part of your characterization. So it's something to help you stay in character. It could be something as simple as a character who's constantly filing her nails, or twirling their hair, or tidying up after other characters. Things to avoid include having your hands in your pockets of your hoodie or in your pockets of your pants and closing off your body. Stage business can often help you keep an open body. Upstaging is causing another actor to have to turn into a closed position so that the audience can't see their face. Or it means stealing focus when another actor should have it. So upstaging is something you definitely want to avoid. Cheat out or open up. That's when an actor has to face more towards the audience. It may feel unnatural on stage to not just look directly at the person you're speaking to, but for the audience to be able to see the emotion on your face and be present with you in the moment, you need to include them by cheating out or opening up. And it doesn't mean directly facing the audience. It usually means just angling yourself slightly towards them. The set. That is the pieces of furniture, the platforms, walls, or other items, or lack thereof, on the stage to create the location of the performance. Props are objects handled by an actor on stage. This can be a set prop, an object that is part of the set, such as a chair, or a hand prop, an object that can be held in your hand, such as a pen or a cup. Wings. These are the sides of the stage, out of view of the audience, and they can be referred to stage left wing, stage right wing. Sometimes there are upper and lower ones as well. At Showplace, there are several.